This broadcast is brought to you by velocitymicro.com. Hello nerds, I am Sebastian Sjöberg and this is the fourth PolygonReview.com Starcraft 2 broadcast. This time coming at you from Sweden. Yes, the move from Britain went well, I did not forget anything that I cannot live without. This broadcast is different. First of all, looks a lot different, looks a lot better. In my point of view. Huge shout out to Maximilian who made that happen. You're an awesome dude, man. Keep it up. Way to go, nerd. But it's also different for a more important reason, because this time I'm interviewing someone that is not a huge famous skilled player or a famous commentator, but a person who has contributed substantially and influentially to the Starcraft 2 beta. More than anyone else at this stage, in that way, I would say. Mathew Peterson is representative of iRip, the company, the software producing company, who sponsored the HGH Invitational Tournament with lots of money, in esport terms, at the very least. And he did so from a corporate perspective and from an individual esport interest. And I'm going to talk to him about how corporate sponsorship can benefit this growing scene, making it into an industry, but without prostituting it. And how fun, passion, as well as business can go hand in hand, and what pitfalls to avoid in order to make that happen. And he also leaves us with some very interesting food for thought about how it might develop into the future, on demand being the continuing key word here. I'd like to apologize also beforehand for a slightly bad audio quality. Matthew lives in Australia. There was some data loss on the way, so the recording is not as crisp as I would have liked it. I've done what I could to increase the quality, but here we go. I apologize. I hope you still find it endurable, and that you find that what Matthew has to say will be interesting enough to do the extra listening. Now, without further ado, here's the man himself, Mathew Peterson of iRip. Hello and welcome everybody to the fourth Starcraft 2 broadcast from PolygonReview.com. I am Sebastian Sjöberg and today we're doing things a bit differently. Today's guest is Mathew Peterson, and he's a representative of iRip, something we should all be quite aware of what that is these days. Hello Matthew, how are we doing today?
Okay, Sebastian, I'm doing very well, thank you.
It sounds like you're doing very well in Australia, is that alright? Is that correct?
Yes, it's a little rainy down here, but otherwise I'm having a good day.
Glad to hear it. It's strangely similar in Sweden right now. The reason I asked you to come on the show is, of course, that iRip is, next to the efforts of HD Starcraft and Husky, of course, the strongest contributor behind infamously popular HGH Invitational Tournament that took place during the beta that featured all the big names in StarCraft 2. And iRip was generous enough to donate a significant amount of money to the prize pool. How much was it again?
I'm not exactly sure of the total, but I think it was around $4,000.
Well, that's quite a lot for a StarCraft 2 prize pool, but perhaps not so much in terms of a marketing budget for a serious company, which is sort of the topic of this interview, how well-guided corporate sponsorship can contribute to the growth of the esports scene. Because as a form of entertainment, electronic sports it's arguably being more and more embraced by the so-called mainstream internet user every day. iRip took the budding StarCraft 2 scene with a storm through its sponsorship. But what made you, as a company, decide to dedicate resources to this very original course in marketing terms?
It was a bit of an interesting story, actually. A lot of my friends got me into StarCraft 2. I wasn't a big player, and he got me a beta key, and I went and started playing some games. Found it, a damn good game. And I was looking around the internet for Starcraft videos just to see what was around. Not in terms of finding shoutcasts, but just in terms of finding something interesting to watch while I was exercising. And I found Husky channel. I think I found HD Starcraft channel first. And the game I ran into was TLO versus Nonny on Metalopolis, the amazing 40-minute nuke fest. That was my introduction to Starcraft 2 shoutcasting. And I think I was lucky to run into that game first.
Well, that's how many of us got into it. Of course, you took it further than that. Did you contact Husky and HD about working together, or how did that come about?
I never intended to be in advertising. It was more intended to create something for the community. I loved what Husky and HD were doing, their shoutcasting, and I was watching them every single day. And it struck me at one point that if I was to be watching this on TV or watching movies, I would be paying for it in some way, shape, or form. I wasn't paying for content, and especially Husky's. It was the primary channel I was watching. I didn't actually realize Husky and HD worked together. And so I sent Husky a donation, and he was over the moon, as he always is, about anyone being generous towards him. And then I considered, well, hey, I think he should be or something like that he was looking forward to tournaments occurring. And I just went, oh, hey, this is a good idea for a tournament to be hosted. So I contacted him. We decided that he would be a good prize pool, and I think I insisted originally on not having a sponsor. Didn't intend iRip to be any part of it. I just wanted to do this for personal entertainment reasons. But then he insisted that I had to have a sponsor. That was why at any tournament I could happen without a sponsor. And it went from there.
It certainly did. It snowballed from there. I imagine that because HD and Husky plugged iRip pretty hard during the Invitational, and in a good constructive way, I found. Must have gotten quite a lot of publicity and increased Google rankings from that, I would imagine. But just looking at the state of the scene right now, since the release of the Starcraft 2 beta a couple of months ago, the most popular YouTube channels, Husky and HD are among them, that provide sort of relevant material. They're now generating millions of YouTube views every month, and that can only be expected to increase with the retail release of the game. You say you initially did this out of sort of love for the game rather than a marketing perspective, but still, from a corporate perspective, you could definitely see this growing scene as a genuine goldmine of potential, because if this was TV, the advertising to reach 10 million viewers would be quite significant. But in this sort of virgin field of YouTube TV, there's very little precedence, and it's arguably less expensive to place your ads there or sponsorship. Is this something that iRip as a company has a clear strategy of continuing into the future? And beyond that, do you think that the time has come for when big money enters esports properly and fully?
Well, yes, I definitely think the time has come, or at least the first few months of the release will show us if that time has come. When I started approaching them about the HCH invitation, I wasn't expecting to get a good return on investment. I wasn't expecting it to receive, the finals received 250,000 views by themselves. So in terms of marketing at that point, I had no expectations whatsoever. Now that I can see that obviously and HD, they receive 2 million views a week, even without tournaments. But yeah, it'd be an excellent opportunity for companies. And as you can see with the Day 9 Tasteless show match, we decided to do some more games.